Drive around Hollywood neighborhoods, and you can see buildings and structures that have been around since the development of the city. The Art Deco structure, opulent colors, and even their unique designs can almost tell stories of Hollywood's golden era. Many of these structures were owned by major production companies to house fresh and new upcoming stars during their transitional period into Hollywood and fame. Within time, the structures have seen many deaths, suicides, misfortunes, and even strange occurrences. Eventually, they were passed down to different owners and were bought up by different companies to turn them into public apartments. There is that saying, though, if these walls can talk. In a lot of these dwellings, they literally do. Press your ear against the wall, and you might hear something. Could it be an old Hollywood resident from the golden era trying to communicate from beyond the grave? Or is it something else? We also talk about what famous Hollywood apartment was the influence for Disneyland's famous ride, the Hollywood Tower of Terror. We talk about this and much more on Hollywood Paranormal's Haunted Hollywood Apartments. Sign the lease, if you dare. Hey guys, welcome back to Hollywood Paranormal.
Hello.
So we have a very special little treat for you. So we're going to do something different.
Changing it up.
We are. And we're going to be talking about some haunted Hollywood apartments.
Yes.
We're going to be dropping some Hollywood street knowledge on these crazy little places that hold a lot of mystery and a lot of history as well. So,
Ooh, I like that. History and
I know.
mystery.
I just feel like, a paranormal gangster right now.
I love it.
A spiritual gangster. So, Brice, have you ever lived in a haunted apartment or rented,
Not,
a room in one?
No, not that I would consider haunted. Maybe a little terrifying, but not for paranormal reasons, I don't think.
It was just
bad
dirty. Roommates.
Yeah, it was just bad. No, I don't think I ever have lived in. I don't think so. Not to my knowledge, unless I'm just hardcore suppressing it right now.
Right.
Which is possible.
Which it could have been possible. I don't know, but I like to, just pan it off to my crazy roommates.
I love it.
And all of us had one or two or several before.
Many, yes.
I don't think I've lived in one. I know I was telling you about the story of my apartment, the first apartment that I moved into in West Hollywood. So, just to give you a little short story, I have two actually.
Ooh.
One for my husband, which was even scarier. His experience would never come close to what I'm about to share with you. So, a friend of mine helped me get an apartment in her complex in West Hollywood.
It's very nice.
Very, very nice, because it is a bitch to find
I
places
know.
to live, especially with parking.
Good luck.
I know.
That's the real horror.
I know.
Like, good grief. Looking for parking in LA, that is haunting us all.
Look, I was right. I was like, don't mind. It didn't come with a washer and dryer unit, or didn't have a facility. I was like, I don't care. Sacrifices. But I had a parking spot.
Damn.
So she helps me get this place. It's beautiful. It's amazing. So as you guys heard in the intro as well, a lot of these apartments in Hollywood, and you can tell by the structure, by the color and the design, they were built in the 30s. Some of them even in the 20s. Some of them even older.
Yeah.
So a lot of them have been, bought out by different companies, but they were owned by major production companies to house up and coming stars. And when they became bigger and better, they shipped them up to bigger and better places, or they kicked them out and sent them back home if they weren't making any money off of them, which is primarily the case. So I find out that this apartment was owned by either Paramount or MGM.
Whoa.
One of those two.
Big
I believe
dogs.
it was Paramount because they're closer to our complex. And so this story my friend shared with me because we got to talking one evening after a friend of mine who is a clairvoyant visited me in my apartment, and we were just talking about, the paranormal, and he was even mentioning to me that there's a lot of energy that comes in and out of this complex. Like our complex at the time, like there was just so many energies just entering and exiting as if they were revisiting.
Interesting.
And I told him, I always felt like I was being observed, or I felt like there's always something around me.
Whoa.
But I never seen or felt anything negative. There are times where my front door would open by itself.
No.
He told me, yeah, that's pretty much what they're doing. They're just coming in to visit. I mean, so many people lived in this complex, even like Chaz Bono.
Oh, wow.
Post, Sonny Bono. So Chaz Bono lived there in the 90s. And then I find out through one of my friends who's living there that got me the apartment that a very famous starlet used to live there, and it was Marilyn Monroe.
Whoa.
So her story starts in 2005, and she's moving into this new apartment, and it's her first time alone, and she is moving her stuff with her parents. Her parents are carrying boxes. She's carrying this painting of Marilyn Monroe. And this woman across the street, this older woman, notices the painting, and she said, "Oh my God, that's Marilyn. I love her." She said, "Yes, I'm a big fan." And the woman tells her, "Yes, she used to live in that apartment that you're moving into."
No way.
Yes, and of course my friend flipped out. So her and the woman start to talking, and the woman tells her, "Yeah, she used to live here when she was just starting out." The production company owned this place. It owned the complex at one point. And Marilyn was living in it for about 2 years before she really broke big.
Sure.
And the woman tells her, "Yeah, like, I worked down the street at the school, and every time I would, go to work or come from work, I would always see her walk in and out. We would always stop and say hi, had small talk. She was a really, really nice woman." And then, of course, she moved out and, became this big bombshell. Yeah. So my friend is so excited with this news. Yeah. It's meant to be. She struck it big. So she is in her apartment unboxing her stuff. She decides to put the picture in front of her bed. So she, hammers a nail into a wall. She's trying to angle the picture. The picture keeps on slanting to the right. And she's given up at this point. She's like, "I'm hangry right now. I need to eat. We've been moving all day."
Ugh, the worst.
She leaves the picture slanted. They go out, they have dinner, they come back. She notices that the picture is now aligned.
Oh my gosh. A tidy ghost? Come on. Oh my God.
OCD, you need to align this photo.
Or I'll haunt you.
Or I'll haunt you. So she asks the parents, "Did you fix this photo? Did you fix this painting for me?" And the parents are like, "No, we've been in the kitchen unboxing your plates."
Oh my God.
Right. So she just has no explanation for it. She just kind of writes it off, but it's still in the back of her mind, right? But there have been times where she feels a presence there. She has felt like something's there with her. Wow. And it's not negative, but she has felt like something is there. So my friend would always leave the TV on at night. It would help her go to sleep. So in the morning when she wake up, the television is on so she can watch The View. And I know
Priorities.
She had priorities. She had strategy right there.
We
She's
all have our routine.
Exactly.
Get it.
So she would fall asleep to the television and then wake up and watch The View. And there have been times where she would wake up and the television would be off, and she would double check: did I have it on a timer? Did I roll over on the remote? Did I turn it off? No, the remote was always on her dresser.
Oh no.
I know. And I would always see the television on through her apartment. And so I know she wasn't making any of this up. And then she ends up getting a cat. So the cat, whose name is Sammy Davis Jr. Because it's a beautiful brown chocolate cat, would start to see it would just start to stare out in the corners of the apartment.
Oh God, I really do. I hate when they do that. Can you stop staring at the devil? Thanks. I'm busy. Thank you.
Don't look there. Here, play with this toy.
My roommate's cat does that, and he's
I
on
hate that.
painkillers right now, so he's really doing it, and it's terrifying.
You don't know if those things are like making him even more sensitive.
I know, it's so creepy. Well, I mean, they can see more spectrum of light than we can.
Oh yeah.
So who knows what else those little devils are seeing? Like, because cats are so crazy.
They are. Lord knows what they're seeing and that we can't, right? So it, at times, is looking at different corners of the room, like something's there.
Sammy, no.
I know, Samus Davis Jr., please. So one day, she notices that the cat, it looked like he was playing with something. And at first, she thought it was a spider. Was it a fly? No, it was, because it just looked like someone was playing with it.
Oh, my God.
And she was like, I'm going to grab him. We're going to, we're going to do something else. Like, she was kind of freaked out by it. But yeah, that was like her haunted apartment story.
Does she still live there?
She moved out in 2000.
Good. Get your cat and leave.
She moved out in 2012. It was her time to leave. I mean, it was a beautiful apartment complex. I loved it. We were in walking distance of Boys Town in West Hollywood. We were in walking distance of the clubs, the bars, everything.
The ghost.
Ghosts, you name it. I mean, it was there. So we were in walking distance of the Viper Room, the Whiskey Go. I mean, it was prime location. At the time, I think I was paying, we were paying $980 a month. $980. What does that get you? A room that you share with 3 other...
A cardboard box on a sidewalk? I don't know. It doesn't get you anything.
A room that you have to share with 3 other people now.
I mean, yeah. I can't. In Hollywood, like in West Hollywood, $980 will get you nothing. A closet, maybe.
Yeah, well...
It will not get you a parking spot. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah, it's true. I found out that now the apartment goes for $11.85.
Easily. I was going to say.
And now it does. Yeah, and it was rent controlled. Oh, I loved it. It was the best 3 years of my transition into California, into Los Angeles. I miss it to this very day.
It was rent controlled and you left?
And you're
crazy.
Whenever you meet the love of your life.
Aww.
And I met a boy who's, from the Valley.
Boys ruin everything.
They do.
Just kidding. That's so sweet.
He turned me into a Valley girl, so.
Welcome.
I know. Welcome to the Valley. There's actually ample parking here.
Yeah, we're really cool up here.
Yeah, a little more affordable. It's getting higher now.
Oh, I know.
It's ridiculous. It's not rent controlled in a lot of these places.
No, it is not. And
even it was like, it came with a ghost. It came with a poltergeist. It would still not be rent controlled. No. So I wanted to also share my husband's story real quick. Because this one is even more crazy.
Oh, great.
And I wanted him to be a special guest, but he's very shy. So I'm going to share the story on his behalf because he tells me the story. I always bug him to share it with me because it's super scary. But it gives me goosebumps still to this very day. So my husband, years and years ago, he had a friend that lived in Woodland Hills. Mm-hmm. So that's further in the valley. Way out there, guys. I think it's now affordable to live in Woodland Hills. What you would pay for an apartment back in 2009 in West Hollywood is probably what you would pay there now. It's ridiculous.
Gentrification. Ruining everything.
So he had a friend and he would always stay at this friend's apartment. And the apartment was built in the 60s, so it did look a little old.
True.
But the parents and his friend, they lived there for years and years. I want to say 10, 12 years. So there was this one night he was sleeping in an extra bedroom and he kind of woke up and felt as though he was levitating. And the way he describes it, he's like, I felt like I was floating above the mattress.
No.
I could feel it. I didn't feel the mattress beneath me. It felt
God.
And he shows me physically, it looked like 2 to 3 feet that he was levitated. The worst part is he can't move, he can't scream or say anything.
Oh my God.
He's paralyzed vocally, he's paralyzed physically. And I even asked him, I'm like, did you feel like you were dreaming? He's like, no, I was awake. But the weirdest thing is I could not say anything. And I even asked him, did you ever suffer from sleep paralysis? No.
Oh,
and I know for a fact he doesn't, because we're married now, he doesn't. And he said, that's the only time I've ever felt that way was in this apartment.
Oh my God.
So after that happened, he tried to play it off.
Sure.
He doesn't believe in this stuff. No matter how many times things like this happen to my husband, and they have more than once, he still doesn't believe. He writes it off as, oh, it's nothing.
Yeah.
Maybe alien. I don't know. Maybe it was an alien. I believe in that stuff, but not, of a presence.
Yeah, I think a lot of that's like people's tendency is you try and like rationalize
Write it off. Yeah, and
yourself out of it.
Yeah, exactly. He was trying to rationalize like what could it have been.
I mean, anything that I've seen that's been like quote paranormal,
right?
That has always been my instinct is like no, like especially I was raised so religiously, like we do not believe in that kind of stuff. So it's like no, you like can and then eventually like when you can no longer explain it, or that the only explanation is okay, but I'm seeing a ghost. Like there's no other explanation. It's like such a crazy feeling. So maybe that just hasn't happened for him yet. You know what I mean? Like that experience, it's been like enough. But I totally get that because I do the same thing. We're like, no, it's fine. I can explain it. It's normal.
There's a logical explanation for us. I'm going to take science's side, So I believe it was the next morning or a couple of days after, he's having breakfast with, his friend and his dad. And, they ended up talking about what happened. And he even asked the dad, hey, have you been experiencing anything else that's been weird in this apartment? And the dad immediately says yes. Oh, yes. We ignore it. What we experience is we see shadowy figures in the corner of our eye. I would see movement in the hallway. I would think it's one of my family members there. I call out to them. No one answers. I walk around the apartment. No one's there. There's this one instance where the dad was doing work on the computer and he saw it looked like a shadowy figure like walking back and forth down the hallway, and out of nowhere he hears the faucet in the bathroom turn on.
Oh my God.
As if someone was taking a bath. He goes in the bathroom, he calls out, no answer. He goes in the bathroom, the faucet's on, no reason, turns it off, and he's freaked out, but he's like, No, I'm not going to feed into it. I'm really not going to feed into it. So their whole method is just to write it off, just ignore it. Because in a lot of these cases, like if you feed it energy or if you feed it attention, it's going to give you attention back, pretty much. So for them, they've been dealing with it for almost a decade and more. So that is my husband's haunted apartment story. Not necessarily in Hollywood, but
that's so crazy though for the dad to just immediately yes, I know what you're talking about, and not to write him off or not know what that's so creepy.
Yeah, and the dad was experiencing more of it.
Yeah.
Than the wife and the friend, his friend. Yeah, it's intense. He even mentions too, it's an intense feeling at times.
Leave my faucets alone.
I know, and I even asked my husband, do you think, it could be someone who passed away in that apartment? Maybe someone who passed away in the late 60s or 70s or 80s or something? And, my husband said, I don't know, maybe, it could be, but we don't know what else it could have been.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they don't want to, label it as an entity, They don't believe in it.
Wow.
Or even though it's happening to them, they refuse to believe in it. Yeah.
I mean, I think that's a good defense mechanism in a way, either for your own psyche or to not engage with it. Just no, we're not going to give in to that.
No.
We're not going to live our lives based on this other thing.
Right.
We are living here now.
We are here now. And a lot of times in these cases, you have to acknowledge it and tell it, we're here. If you get rid of us or you try to kick us out, more people will come in. You're going to have to deal with, just many of us coming in and out of here.
Yeah.
So we got to find an equilibrium.
You got to sage that shit because that's...
Sage it to death. Holy water, everything.
Yes. That makes sense. Oh, God.
So here are a couple of more dwellings to talk about. So we have the Hudson apartment, and majority of these are off of Hollywood Boulevard.
That makes sense.
So the Hudson apartment was built in 1917. It still stands today. Co-founders of Paramount Pictures and MGM built what was then called the Hillview Hollywood Hotel, an apartment to cater to aspiring actors in silent films. Wow. So it catered to Charlie Chaplin, who then later owned the building, and Rudolph Valentino had a speakeasy in the basement.
Of course.
Of course. They have experienced what sounds like music and jabber going on in the basement. Every time someone would go and check, nothing's there. They have also have claimed to see a man from the 20s always residing downstairs. And the manager, whose name is Mia Shambria, has even stated, it's hard for me to rent the place sometimes because the man from the 20s would always show himself to prospective renters.
Whoa.
And disappear in front of them.
Whoa.
Yes. So that is now the Hudson Apartments. And then you have the Gershwin Apartments off of Hollywood Boulevard, which is no more than 3 blocks away from the Hudson. So you have the Gershwin, which was built in 1926. James Earl Ray used to live there in 1967 when it was called the St. Francis Hotel. And James Earl Ray was the individual who made plans to shoot Martin Luther King.
Whoa.
Yes. There has been many deaths at this, location. Many people have died and committed suicide there, says a former manager, Krista Lynch. The back wing is usually closed off, and it's closed off due to an earthquake they had years ago. So they name it the Dead Zone.
Oh, my God. What? Come on.
And the reason why they also name it the Dead Zone is because people from outside, mainly homeless or transients, would come in there and OD.
Oh.
So it's already bad juju in that little back wing. And the Gershwin is very, very haunted because of the amount of suicides they've had there. Individuals have seen shadow figures. They have experienced cold spots around the apartment.
Oh, my God.
People have been locked out of their apartment for no reason. They'll be going downstairs to get the mail. They'll leave their door unlocked. They'll come back and the door is automatically locked.
Whoa.
Yeah. So they've had that happen to them at the Gershwin. Then you have the famous Knickerbocker, which is off of Ivar Avenue. All these places is so crazy how they're like...
Well, I can just picture the sign for each of them.
Yeah.
They're like these big neon signs.
They
above all
are.
of them.
They're all 10 minutes away from our work.
Oh, my God, I know.
Even shorter than that. So you have the Knickerbocker that was built in 1925. It is now a senior home facility. So the Knickerbocker back in the 20s was a hotel, and a lot of people used to stay at this hotel. You had Charlie Chaplin. You also had Harry Houdini.
Oh, wow.
And it was on Halloween of 1936 where Harry Houdini's widow held her 10th annual seance to contact the magician on the roof.
Oh, my God.
They did not succeed in it because before Harry Houdini passed, he had shared what it was like a code word between him and his wife. If I were to ever come back and if you were to ever try to, contact me via seance, if the clairvoyant would share this word with you, it's me. But she would always never get that word.
Oh, wow.
So that happened on the roof of the Knickerbocker. Perhaps the strangest tragedy, and it's so close to my heart because it was one of... it was like a famous costume designer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that I actually did a report on in grad school. So this strange tragedy took place in 1962 with the suicide of Irene Gibbons, a costume designer of MGM. And she was very talented and amazing. I've seen her work in publications. She designed costumes for a number of famous actresses like Marlene Dietrich, Elizabeth Taylor, Claudette Colbert, Hedy Lamarr, even Judy Garland, and Lana Turner, and many, many others. Like, she was the go-to woman in the 60s. And later in her career, she worked on several Doris Day films.
Cool.
And she even became very close friends with Doris Day. So in 1962... after Day noticed that Irene seemed very upset and nervous, the costume designer confided to Doris Day and her that she was in love with the actor Gary Cooper and that he was the only man that she had ever loved. And sadly, Cooper had died in 1961, so she was having a tough time trying to cope with his death. So on November 15th, Irene took a room at the Knickerbocker, checking in under a different alias. She ends up cutting her wrists. That doesn't work. So she immediately decides, no, I'm going to be even more fatal, and jump to her death from her window on the 14th floor. Her body reportedly ended up on the top of the hotel awning where it was later discovered that night. So they didn't find the body till later that night on the awning. Yeah. So maintenance workers have reported seeing a woman wandering on the roof. She'll stop in a certain location of the roof and disappear.
Oh my God.
People have even claimed that on the 14th floor they see a woman grieving. They've heard a woman crying. They've even seen a woman throw herself from the roof. So many have seen her on the roof or on the 14th floor. Maintenance workers don't like to go on the roof because she's mainly felt there. And a lot of people even refuse to go in the basement. They see shadowy figures and they notice how the basement door always closes by itself.
Nope.
They'll go in there to do work. They'll leave the door open and the door just automatically closes by itself. No. I know. Then you have the Ravenswood apartment, and this one is a beautiful Art Deco building that was built in 1930 by Paramount Pictures.
Of course. As
housing for stars they had under contract. So many of these stars were Ava Gardner and Clark Gable. They lived in the Ravenswood. Mae West also moved into the Ravenswood, and she lived in apartment 611 in 1932. Though her stay there was meant to be temporary, she loved the apartment so much that she never left, ever. Though she signed a lifetime lease, many believe that her stay extended even beyond her lifetime. So she died in 1980, sitting in her favorite armchair in her bedroom. And recent tenants of that room swear that they have witnessed twinkling lights around the apartment, and some say they even see the figure of Mae herself. She has never left.
That's a good figure, honey.
I know, honey.
Right.
I love Mae West.
I do too.
I would be so ecstatic to be in that room.
That's, yeah.
I mean,
that
like,
one I guess isn't too scary because she's so fabulous.
I'd be so excited to be like, hey, Mae, let's have some mimosas or something.
Yeah, let's get a mimosa, honey.
Let's get a mimosa, honey.
I love her. Oh, no. God, but terrifying.
Very scary, which leads me to the biggest apartment of all, the Hollywood Tower.
Yes.
I was about to say Hollywood Tower of Terror.
Well, right, because, yeah.
So the Hollywood Tower Hotel was built in 1929 and hosted many Hollywood stars like Errol Flynn, W.C. Fields, and John Barrymore, who is related to Drew Barrymore. Yes. So the ballroom on the top of the floor was a grand and popular location for famous Hollywood parties, with its up-close view to the Hollywood sign, which is true because if you go on the roof, you could see, like...
I've been on that roof.
Oh, you have?
Yes. So, well, you finish it.
I want to hear about this.
I have a very specific... It's like the most Hollywood story, so I'll save it for a second.
Oh, we're going to hear one of your Hollywood stories.
Okay, yeah, basically... just the most ridiculous night. But
my, I cannot wait. I think a lot of us can't wait to hear.
Yeah. Woo.
Okay, so it seems like at this point it is the fashion to build a hotel, and a string of murders and suicides will follow. So there are rumors at this point during the 30s and 40s that the mafia were using this location to throw people from the back of the building, and quite a few people have lost their lives due to these mafia groups that at one point ruled half of Hollywood. So there are also other deaths that were documented of people throwing themselves to their death from the 8th or 12th floor windows. And to this very day, people do see what looks like partial or full-bodied apparitions of people kind of standing on the windowsill of their apartment floor and throwing themselves to their death. They'll rush over to the window, but nothing or no one is there. And there's even reports of a shadowy figure floating from one floor to the next, along with full-bodied apparitions of men from the 30s. They look like they're dressed from the 30s. And then you go into the 70s and 80s, the hotel falls into a decline, and then is soon purchased to build, apartments. And then you have Disney coming in to create a ride, which leads me to ask you, Brice, have you ridden the ride? Because I haven't.
I've been on the one in Orlando, which I believe... Well, actually, did they change both of them?
They did. It's now the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Which I was initially super pissed off about because I loved the Hollywood Tower of Terror. I loved the old-timey aura that it all had. So I was a huge fan of it. But I regretfully was totally won over. I was just at Disneyland for the first time. I'd never been to Disneyland in California. So my first time, and we went, and they did a really good job. It's not just like a fresh coat of paint. It's like a whole new storyline, and it's like super engaging. And each time you ride it, I mean, I sound like a total salesperson for this ride, but it like changes the animation screen is different every time you ride it, and the song is different every time you ride it. So they actually did a really good job and totally like won me over, because I was so skeptical, because I was such a huge fan of the like Twilight Zone, and you know, Disneyland especially right now is going through a lot of overhaul that like people are pretty upset about. You know, Pixar Land is taking over the roller coaster, and it's going to be it's not even like they're not keeping that roller coaster. So I think people are pretty skeptical. But from my experience, like, it was actually pretty excellent. They did a really good job with it.
I remember passing by it like many times. I just didn't want to take the ride. I can't do those types of rides where you just go all the way up to the tippy top and then you just drop down. I can't.
So it's like even more intense now. So I was probably 16 when I rode the one in Orlando. That's like the last time. And then did we ride it when I went? I went to Disney World with my sister right before I moved to LA, but I don't remember if we rode that ride or not. But how I remember it is that it like takes you up, and like each like little bit, there's like a little Twilight Zone movie of the floors and like the 5 people, and then there's like the reveal and the one big drop. That is not how the Guardians of the Galaxy is. You like get strapped in and you like rock it up, and it drops you.
I've seen a video promo of it, and it looks extremely intense.
It's so much fun. We rode it like so many times.
No way.
But I mean, I was screaming like an actual little girl. I was just like so into it. But I mean, you're up and down at least 20 times. It's amazing.
The biggest question, Brice, is there a picture circulating? You know, when they take those like still shots of you like like midway in the ride?
Oh yeah. There's at least 3. There's at least 3, and I'm eyes squinched, screaming. I look like
There's tears.
Oh yeah, I'm like a bearded 12-year-old girl, just horrified. But it was awesome. Yeah. They got me. They got me good.
Oh my goodness. I love seeing those types of pictures of those people like midway of the ride, and you just see like their extreme facial structures and features.
I love it. That's me. That was me.
No, I avoided that ride. I seen the movie that Disney did. They did the Tower of Terror. It was like a made-for-TV movie.
Right.
And it had the same story, but it's so fucking weird that they would do something like that, take a tragedy and market it as like a fucking ride.
So did the Twilight Zone do an episode on it first, or did the Disney ride come? Do you know?
That I'm not sure.
Me neither. I just didn't know if you happen to know off the top of your head.
Yeah, that I'm not sure.
Because it's all so intertwined.
Yeah, it's very much intertwined. I believe that Disney took the idea. I could be wrong.
What's that thing, like tragedy plus time is comedy? So
exactly.
We have like Titanic bounce castles now. So you know what I mean?
Jesus
like
Christ, I know.
It at the time must have been so devastating, but let's make a ride out of it.
They also have Titanic costumes.
Perfect.
I know.
It's amazing.
I know. It's insane. So let's see. Back in the 90s, this was documented. Back in the 90s, there was a woman visiting her friend that lived there in the apartments, and the woman claimed to be a clairvoyant. So before entering the place, she had never heard of any of the stories, any of the lore of the building's supposed haunted history. So upon entering the building, she immediately started to freak out. She rode the elevator up to her friend's apartment, and that the elevator was filled with what she described as whooshing spirits floating all around the elevator, back and forth. She said she couldn't even stay with her friend and had to take the stairs back down. She said she didn't want to go back into the place. It was just too much energy. But I think they used to do haunted tours during Halloween. Other clairvoyants have entered the place and have felt, a mixture of different types of energies. You go up and down the stairs, you'll feel cold spots, being touched, and nothing comes out from the roof. The rooftop is another big area now, but they've said that the rooftop is pretty positive, like they don't feel a negative presents. It's pretty neutral on the roof. And you said you went into a party.
Yeah, so
Your
I'm surprised that they didn't
Hollywood
feel
party?
anything because we certainly had some negative energy going on up there.
Did it start with Johnny and end with Walker?
Oh my God. Doesn't it always, though? Let's be honest. No, you know what it was is that I have another podcast that I do with a friend of mine, and he does sort of very extravagant parties every year for his birthday. So the first year that we moved out here, I met him at school. We actually lived together at an apartment building that is literally the building behind one of the buildings that you talked about. The what was it called? The old person's home.
Oh, the Knickerbocker.
I lived in the building behind the Knickerbocker.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, as you were talking about it, I was like, yes, I know exactly where that is. Our building was like brand new. It used to be a grocery store, and then they covered it and built an apartment building, so it was like brand new. It was really nice. Thank God, because I cannot live in a haunted apartment. So he threw this huge party, and it kind of became this like social event of the school year. Like all 3 years were there.
Wow.
Almost the entire school was there. He had like rented out the entire. So there's actually 2 wings of the rooftop.
Right.
And he rented out like one of the wings. There was like a DJ, and it basically he like entered. He had like a music video entrance.
Stop.
It was
Stop
the
it.
full.
Tell me, did he have a cape? Or fur jacket on? I could see him in that.
It's actually even more chaotic than that. He had.
Stop it.
Oh, he's gonna hate me so much. I'm so excited. I hope he hears me describe in detail what he looked like. There's photos. He had black raccoon eyeliner across his whole like T-zone.
Oh my God.
And he was shirtless with like a chain around him, and there was these 2 like zombies basically that were like friends of ours in acting school. And they were like painted like zombies. So they like were holding him, and he was like trying to break free from his chain. And then he had this like duct tape like shorts that he had made.
Oh my gosh.
And then like these platform thigh-high boots.
Stop it.
And a cane with this like crystal letter of his name on top of it. And
I
then
need
this,
to see
like,
pictures.
I have them. I'll show them too. And then this like huge music video that he had like shot in our apartment like a month before, and like it was this whole thing. And it came in, and it was like crazy. So then he like does this huge entrance. The party gets like super amped up. I mean, there's like cocaine everywhere, and like my little Midwestern self is like, guys, like what are we doing? Like
it's not a party in Hollywood without cocaine, right?
It was everywhere. People are getting destroyed.
Stop
like, it. So this is in 2012? 2000? No, that's too early. I came here in 2011. And there's like MTV like celebrities that are showing up. Not like big ones, but like if I was saying the names, I can't say names. But like literally, you'd be like, yep, I know who that is. Yep, I know who that is. Like the B team of like the early,
like Road Rules, probably.
All those like MTV people that you were watching in like the mid 2000s were showing up.
Real
like,
World,
getting
stop it,
turned, and so like God. To the point that like there's people like peeing on the roof. Like it was so chaotic.
Were they
and
peeing
like
off the roof? Like
everything, literally everything.
I'm surprised no one fell to their death.
I mean, we got really lucky because people were so obliterated.
No.
And it just kept getting more and more amped. And I think we were supposed to be out of there by like 2.
Stop it.
It was like 6 a.m.
You guys were definitely theater students.
Oh, totally. Like it was. And the thing is like so many people, this is like their, I had gone to school and then came out here. Mm-hmm. A lot of people just come straight out of high school. So like they're finally free. Like you were saying with your friend.
Yeah.
And they were ready to party. And I'm just sitting there with like my little vodka soda, like, guys.
What do I do?
Yeah. So that was definitely like.
How do I get home?
We threw it ourselves, but it did kind of turn into this like.
Oh my God! I'm surprised that the cops never showed up.
They did.
Oh,
there was like a noise complaint, and then someone like accidentally tried to pull a fire alarm, but it wasn't hooked up somehow.
Stop it.
So it was like only going off in like part of the bill. It was just chaos. I mean, even to the like. So then my friend, he got proposed to by his then boyfriend, and he said yes, even though they had only been dating for like A month.
That lasted a day.
Yeah. So he's now in a very happy relationship and thank goodness, not dating that man.
Oh my gosh.
It was the craziest. So even if there were ghosts or hauntings there, we were all too crazy to
You're
notice.
partying with the spirits. You guys were living it up. They're like, no chaos right now.
Can I get some of that cocaine? Sure, ghost. Sure. Yeah, it was chaos.
Oh my god.
So then, of course, like the next day, or like on Monday, whenever it was, we were all just like, mum's the word. Like everyone, literally the whole school essentially was there.
Stop it.
But everyone just pretended like nothing had ever happened.
Everyone was quiet because they were all so like messed up.
It was
they were too hungover.
Yeah, it was a fun
so
party,
hungover.
but
they're trying to like replay the night in their head. They're like, I don't know what I did.
Oh.
I woke up somewhere in the gutter.
It was that
Yucca and Ivar.
It was literally, and this has happened a couple of times with his parties, but it really is like that movie, like the party just keeps getting bigger and bigger, and you're just like, what it does, it just gains a life of its own. Bacchus himself like shows up, and you just got to strap in at that point because you can't. It's just done.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So not a haunting, but a very cliche Hollywood party, I guess.
Oh my god. I have to hear the other stories from these other people that attended.
I can find some probably.
Oh my god.
If they'll admit to it.
That is so insane.
Yep.
Now we are a Hollywood party podcast.
Yes, we are. Oh, gross.
No.
Those days are behind me.
I used to party in Hollywood too. I dated a club promoter.
Oof.
Yeah, my liver and my bladder hated
and your
me
wallet.
for it. Oh no! Actually,
well, you're a woman, so he was.
He was a promoter, and I loved it because one, I was like getting to know these like cool places where the hills are being filmed.
Yep.
And also, like when you're dating a club promoter, like all the drinks are free.
I love it.
All the drinks are free.
Club promoters, hit me up.
But it sucked because like he's promoting clubs, so it's like you have to, walk to different tables and introduce yourself, and he has to like talk to all these other people. Then you're left alone having these artificial conversations.
Sure.
With Jacqueline, who recently left porn and is now trying to make it big as a hand model. So
Jacqueline, no.
But she has aspirations, so there
Bless
you go.
her.
I know.
Follow your star, girl.
Well, we have, like, before we close, we have that haunted apartment dormitory where we work.
Yes.
And that's intense. We have to do a full-on episode with it.
I was going to say, because that's kind of how the week got started.
Yes.
Is we started talking about the apartment at the school and how crazy it's all been.
So we're just going to give you the cliff notes real quickly. I already knew that the school itself had a lot of history because Charlie Chaplin used to own that property. His homes are there. The original structures are there. Yep. Next door is where the studios used to be located.
The orange groves.
The orange groves.
Yep.
Everywhere. Lord knows what was absorbed in that earth and that ground during that time period back in the 1920s. So I always heard stories of happenings going on in the school. Then we had not necessarily built a dormitory. It was an apartment that this school purchased to flip it into a dormitory, but it was a big project. It felt like they built an apartment complex. So they turned it into a dormitory. We didn't think anything of it because it looks brand spanking new, beautiful. It's all modern structure. So I want to say 6 months into it? Yeah, we start hearing from other students that crazy shit's going on. Crazy stuff is happening in the dorms. And one student, well, actually two, they live together. One girl, she is very sensitive. She has spoken to the entities of the dormitory / apartments. But they have had some crazy experiences. One big one they had was one of the roommates had a Alexa that would play music from her iPod. And out of nowhere, the Alexa starts playing Hannah Montana. And the girl's kind of embarrassed because she's like, oh my God, I swear to God, that is not in my iTunes. I do not have that in my iTunes. I don't know where that's from. I didn't even request it. And one of the girls who was staying in the apartment, who's a sensitive, said, oh yeah, it's the girl that I see. She likes Hannah Montana. And they freaked out. They freaked out, and even the girl was telling them, yeah, you know, she doesn't want to come out and say it, that she really likes it because, you know, she's a little embarrassed. And they're like, what little girl? Who are you talking to? Well, this little girl has made herself known to me in this building. She dates back to at least late 1800s,
Whoa.
early 1900s. She's about the age of 8 or 9. And she is pretty much roaming around the second floor of this apartment.
Wow.
Or dormitory. So she has been felt. She has been seen. There's even been people that have complained to RAs that there is a little girl running up and down the hallway laughing and giggling.
Whoa.
Yeah. So that is happening. That is going on over there. And there's other entities that I don't think have come with the apartment dormitory. They date back to an earlier period. And like we mentioned in episode 1, like Hollywood was a settlement and it was a land built on layers. So these layers tend to absorb and in ways manifest. And that's pretty much what's going on in that dormitory.
Yeah.
And then you even brought up the fact, too, that you have these individuals, because where we work at is a school for acting. So we get these green, young students, very young, and they come in, they're new to LA. They have other issues that they're going through, mental issues.
Yes.
And when you're acting and learning acting, you're learning how to act. You're opening up different emotions.
Sure.
And those can manifest or pretty much, I don't know, attract other energies into the light, I guess you can say.
Yeah, I mean, even when I was there, there were instances. So much of the school has been renovated that, again, even in my tenure there, so 3 years as a student, and I've been working there for about 5 years now, the building itself has undergone so many changes. There are rooms that are no longer even the rooms that, like, they started out as storage, now they're a classroom, then they became a studio. And so there's been energy. Even when I was a student there was like incidents that were happening that were like unexplainable and not full-on manifestations like are happening now in the dorms, but just very clearly there's just so much. It's like a pressure cooker on that little block of a campus. You know what I mean? I think there's just so much that's sort of being compressed together through the history of that tract of land. Again, like where we are, it was where the bungalows were, and then essentially the start of the orange groves, the famous Charlie Chaplin orange groves.
Right.
So, again, like, there's just so much of Hollywood history there, which is such a huge selling point for the school. But then in terms of what we're all discussing, it's like, yeah, and that history, you cannot pave over it. It is there, manifesting itself in all these different ways.
Right.
It's so crazy.
And they are being attracted to a lot of these students that are, you know, they're in those dormitories. They're in their rooms rehearsing a very intense scene.
Right.
And Lord knows what type of, you know, sensitivity they have, too. So they're attracted to that. So we would love to go on and on about it, guys.
Yeah, I'm going to, because I do have, there's like a couple stories I want to talk about, but I want to save them, I think. Not to like dangle the carrot.
Yes, because it would cost us another hour and a half.
Yeah, we're going to have to do a whole episode.
We have to, like, we will, but we want you guys to, you know, be hungry for more.
Yes, we got you.
But this is pretty much our episode of famous Hollywood haunted apartments. And we do ask you guys, would you sign the lease? Knowing that, you know, this apartment has some energy, it has some history, would you definitely sign it? Not to mention, even in these apartments, I was looking at some of the rent. For a studio, it's $11.98, and for a 1-bedroom at the Hollywood Terrace, it's $22.85. Unbelievable. And I went on the Yelp reviews, and it looks like shit.
Really?
It's so bad. Everyone's complaining about it because I don't know what it is about these people that buy them. They don't upkeep with the whole building. And it's like within time, these structures are going to fall apart.
Well, they know they don't have to because everybody is looking for... I mean, gentrification is plaguing our city right now.
It is. It's insane.
We're in a full-on housing crisis. So.
We are. It's... Oh, God. I know. I don't even...
It's chaotic, but these slumlords can get away with it because of this. So they can charge you $2,000 for a closet, and you have so little recourse. Like, I have a copy of the LA tenants' rights, and there are just such a specific set of circumstances for you to pass class action lawsuits or demand your money back or get refunds or not have to pay or renters insurance. All of this, like, you really have to, like, know your shit just to even be treated like a normal human being.
Oh, yeah. I'm
interested. I don't think it's in there, but I wonder if you could, like, negotiate a lower price if your, like, building was haunted. Like, look, I'll stay here so that you can, like, keep making money, but if I'm gonna have to listen to, like, a little girl playing Hannah Montana, I'm gonna pay half price.
I'm gonna pay half of what you usually charge.
I think your weapon in that is, like, otherwise I'm gonna Yelp and tell everyone that this is haunted. Like, pick your battle. But honestly, for a washer and central air and a parking spot, I would live with a ghost, I think.
I would sign that lease. Yeah. I would bring in, I would negotiate.
Yeah.
I'd be like, look, it's 2018. You scare me out, which will be hard to do. You're gonna have to deal with other people. Let's make a peace truce.
Yeah.
Please don't show up behind me if I'm like washing my face in the bathroom mirror and then I look up and you appear. Fuck that shit. Don't do that. Please, like, I don't have a rocking chair. If I ever do have one, don't rock it back and fucking forth. Please don't do that.
Leave rocking chairs alone.
Please leave me alone in my sleep because my sleep time is very, very important. And if you do not agree with any of these terms, I will bring the fucking priest here with some holy water. I would fucking douse his place, bless his home, cleanse it, everything.
You're about to get passed on
to another life. So, no. I mean, with the way housing is, maybe I would definitely sign a lease. I sign a lease.
I mean,
especially if it's Mae West.
Yeah, if it's Mae West,
come on.
Yeah.
We'll be watching reruns of Golden Girls drinking mimosas.
Oh my God, I love it. I love it.
All right, well, let's take this to a closing right now. I just want to give a shout out to pretty much our spiritual bays out there. Definitely 2 girls and 1 ghost. I see you guys on Instagram. I see you on Twitter. You guys are amazing. I always hear your episodes of your podcast, especially the one about black-eyed children. Oh my God, you have to listen to it. It's freaking insane. But I see you and I love you guys so much. I'm a big fan. But let's bring this to a close, shall we?
Let's do it.
All right, thank you guys for listening to Holly Weird Paranormal. Make sure you follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Holly Weird Paranormal and on Twitter at HWP Podcast.
Bye. Bye.